The vastness of space stretched endlessly, a black canvas dotted with distant stars that twinkled like tiny gems. For the Valarian Armada, patrolling the edges of known space was routine. Their ships moved in perfect formations, a display of power and control that had kept neighboring systems in line for centuries. Commander Zelthar, the leader of the fleet, stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Zarveth, observing the calm emptiness before them. "Another quiet sector," he said, his voice steady, though tinged with the satisfaction of superiority. "Nothing lives here that could challenge us." His officers nodded in agreement. The Valarian species prided themselves on their technological prowess. Their ships were enormous, armed with plasma cannons, energy shields, and advanced scanning systems. They were confident that no life form could oppose them. They had fought smaller species before, and none had survived to tell the tale. But today, something unusual appeared on their long-range sensors. "Commander," said Lieutenant Viral, pointing at the display, "there is an unidentified object entering the system. It is moving unusually fast, but its signature is small. Very small for a warship." Zelthar frowned. "Small? Could it be a scout ship?" "Unlikely," Viral replied. "It is too fast and too stable. I have never seen energy readings like these." Zelthar leaned closer to the screen, scanning the readouts. The object approached steadily, almost daringly, as if it had no fear of the massive Valarian fleet that now surrounded it in orbit. "Open a channel," Zelthar commanded. "Let us greet this visitor." A holographic display flickered to life, showing a human figure standing upright in the center of a compact, sleek warship. The human wore a uniform of dark blue, adorned with simple symbols. His eyes met the camera steadily, exuding calm confidence. "This is Commander Rylan of the United States Starship Valor," the human said, his voice even but firm. "We come in peace. We do not wish to engage in conflict unless necessary." The Valarian officers exchanged uneasy glances. It was rare for a species to communicate so directly. Many of the worlds they had conquered had only fled at the sight of their fleet. Yet this human spoke as if he were equal to them. Zelthar's pride stung. A small ship, thinking it can negotiate with the Valarian Armada? He muttered. "Commander," Viral said cautiously, "the ship does not appear to be hiding weapons, but its energy output is unlike anything we have scanned before. I advise caution." Zelthar waved his hand dismissively. "Caution is for the weak. Let us observe. Perhaps this species is clever, but cleverness does not defeat power." The human ship moved with grace and precision. The Valor's small size allowed it to dodge the long-range scanners and weapons fire easily. The Valarian fleet tried to intimidate it, forming attack formations, firing warning blasts across its path, and even deploying small fighter drones. The human commander remained calm. The Valor weaved between attacks, its shields absorbing the impact of plasma bursts and energy beams that would have destroyed any other vessel. Lieutenant Viral's eyes widened. "Commander, it is adapting. The ship is predicting our attacks before we make them." Zelthar slammed his clawed hand on the armrest. "Impossible! How can a single vessel counter all our maneuvers?" It's learning, Commander," Viral whispered. The Valor suddenly vanished from their sensor grid. One moment it was visible on their scans, and the next, it was gone. The Valarian fleet searched frantically, firing probes and scanning beams into every corner of space. "Where did it go?" Zelthar demanded. "It cannot disappear like this. It's not just gone," Viral said slowly. "It has moved outside the normal detection range. It is hiding in plain sight, or using some kind of advanced cloaking technology." Zelthar's pride clashed with his growing unease. Hiding? A single human ship? Hiding from the Valarian Armada? This is absurd. The human voice echoed through the communication channel again, calm and unyielding. "Commander Zelthar, we are not your enemies. We only defend ourselves and those who cannot defend themselves. We suggest you consider your actions carefully." Zelthar gritted his teeth. No species had ever spoken to him this way. No fleet had ever dared to confront the Valarian armada and remain unafraid. His officers, trained for battle and conquest, looked uneasy for the first time in their lives. "Prepare the strike fleet," Zelthar ordered. "We will force this human to reveal its capabilities. We will not be humiliated." But as the Valarian ships mobilized, the Valor reappeared, not in the same position but directly behind the lead cruiser. With a precision movement that defied comprehension, it had bypassed the entire fleet's defenses without a single shot fired. Lieutenant Viral's mouth dropped open. How did it get there? Zelthar felt a cold edge of fear he had never known. The human ship had demonstrated something he could not understand, something beyond his fleet's technology. He barked orders furiously, trying to regain control. But the Valor remained untouchable, moving with calm intent. "Commander," Viral said, voice low. They are not just fast. They are thinking in ways we do not understand. Our attacks, they are always one step ahead." Zelthar took a deep breath, trying to suppress his panic. He had faced countless species, yet none had caused such confusion. He had always relied on superior numbers, superior technology, and superior training. But this human, this tiny ship, challenged every assumption he had ever held. The human's voice cut through the tension again. "Commander Zelthar, you underestimate humanity. We do not rely on size or numbers alone. We rely on strategy, teamwork, and adaptability. We suggest you avoid unnecessary conflict. It will serve both our species well." The officers whispered among themselves, stunned by the calm authority of the human words. Zelthar's clawed hand trembled slightly as he realized that this was not a bluff. The human ship had no visible weakness, yet it moved with patience and precision. Suddenly, a signal from the Valor displayed a map of the Valarian fleet's formations. Every movement they had made in the past hour was highlighted, along with a prediction of their next step. The humans had already analyzed their strategy, understood their tactics, and found ways to counter every attack before it happened. Viral looked at Zelthar with wide eyes. "Commander, they are planning 3 moves ahead. This is impossible for any species we know." Zelthar's pride flared, mixing with frustration. "Impossible? Perhaps, but the Valarian armada does not retreat. We will see who is truly superior." The Valor slowly moved forward again, emerging from its hiding position. Its energy shields glowed faintly, and the small crew inside prepared for any eventuality. But they did not panic. They had faced uncertainty before, and humans had a unique way of turning it into opportunity. The alien fleet, confident yet shaken, prepared for what they assumed would be an easy display of power. But deep inside their minds, a seed of doubt had taken root. They had encountered a species they had underestimated, a species whose ingenuity and adaptability challenged the very core of their arrogance. Zelthar stared at the human ship, a mix of anger and astonishment coursing through him. He could not shake the realization that this encounter would be remembered by the Valarian and by the galaxy for generations. The Valor floated silently, waiting, calculating, ready for whatever came next. In its calm presence, the aliens began to understand something crucial. Humans were not to be dismissed. They were unpredictable, intelligent, and capable of feats far beyond what the Valarian had ever imagined. For the first time, the alien commanders felt something they had never felt before: uncertainty. And as the stars stretched endlessly around them, the humans held their ground with quiet confidence, leaving the Valarian armada stunned, unsure, and deeply aware that their first encounter with humanity had changed everything. The calm of deep space shattered as the Valarian armada mobilized its full fleet around the human ship. Commander Zelthar's pride had been wounded, and he was determined to assert dominance. If a single human ship could challenge the might of his fleet, it would be destroyed not through negotiation, but through sheer power. "Deploy the strike fleet," Zelthar ordered. "Surround it completely. There will be no escape this time." Lieutenant Viral's tentacles twitched nervously. "Commander, we should reconsider. The ship is unusual. It moves in ways we cannot predict. Unusual or not, Zelthar snapped, it is still a tiny craft. One fleet of Velaryon ships will overwhelm it in moments. Enough talk. Engage. The human warship, the USS Valor, glided silently through the void. Its crew remained calm, each officer at their station, analyzing the alien fleet with precision. Commander Rylan, standing at the center of the bridge, spoke to his officers in a quiet, steady voice. "Report," he said. Lieutenant Chen, monitoring the energy readings, replied, "They are forming a full assault pattern. Shields are charging. Weapons are primed. They intend to attack from multiple angles simultaneously." Rylan nodded. "Then we will respond accordingly. Initiate adaptive shield protocols. Prepare drone intercept units. Keep calm and focus on strategy." The first volley of energy blasts struck the Valor. Bright beams of plasma tore across space, converging on the small ship. The Velaryon fleet expected instant destruction. They had never faced a vessel capable of withstanding even a fraction of their firepower. Yet the Valor's shields flared with a deep blue glow, absorbing the impact. Energy diffused across the hull, and the ship moved with a speed and agility that the Velaryon sensors could barely track. "Unbelievable," Viral muttered. "It is. Avoiding the attacks. Evading is not enough," Xelthar growled. Hit it all at once." But every attack they launched was countered. The human ship seemed to anticipate their movements. It twisted, dived, and weaved in patterns no Velaryon officer had ever imagined. Drones launched from the Valor, small and fast, intercepting plasma blasts mid-flight and redirecting energy harmlessly into space. Commander Rylan watched calmly. "Focus on their formation," he instructed. "Identify the weak points and exploit them. Let them make the first mistakes." Lieutenant Chen frowned. "We are outnumbered, they are massive, and we are small." "That is exactly why they are predictable," Rylan replied. "Large fleets are slower to adjust. Use speed and coordination." And so the humans did. They split the Valor's limited energy into precise bursts, targeting key points in the alien formation. In moments, a Velaryon cruiser faltered, its engines temporarily disabled. Another ship lost communication with the fleet due to drone interference. Zelthar's eyes burned with frustration. "Impossible! How can a single ship cause such disruption?" "Commander," Viral said, voice trembling slightly. "They are not just fighting. They are analyzing, adapting, predicting. Each move we make is anticipated." The Velaryon officers began to panic. Their confidence crumbled as they watched the human ship evade attacks effortlessly, countering with surgical precision. The Valor's energy weapons struck only when necessary, causing minimal damage but maximum strategic effect. "This is unacceptable," Zelthar shouted. "We are the Velaryon Armada. We do not lose to a single ship." The humans, however, remained focused and calm. Commander Rylan spoke over the internal comms. "Prepare the tactical array. We will need to disrupt their long-range sensors. Once we do, we can maneuver to a position of advantage." Lieutenant Chen's fingers flew across the controls. "Sensors are recalibrating. Drone units are ready." In a flash of calculated movement, the Valor launched a wave of tiny, nearly invisible drones. These drones swarmed the nearest alien ships, jamming communications and short-circuiting sensor arrays. The Velaryon fleet, used to relying on technology, struggled to coordinate. Commands were delayed, and formations began to falter. Zelthar slammed his claws on the console. "Focus. Target that ship. Destroy it." But every attack now came too late. The humans had already anticipated the next step. The Valor twisted behind an alien cruiser, firing a precise energy pulse at its propulsion system. Sparks erupted across the alien hull, engines faltering as the cruiser drifted helplessly. "This cannot be," Viral whispered. They are predicting everything." The human crew worked as one. No panic, no confusion. Each officer understood the other's roles perfectly. They coordinated attacks, defense, and strategy as if the entire ship were a single organism. Reroute shields to the forward array, Rylan said. Prepare countermeasures for their heavy weapons. Keep moving. The Valarian ships began to retreat slightly. Unsure how to handle this unprecedented threat, every attempt to surround the Valor was met with intelligent maneuvering. Drones disrupting attacks, and shields absorbing the impact. Zelthar's mind raced. He had never encountered a species capable of such tactics. They were fast, yes, but it was more than speed. They were intelligent, adaptive, and bold. A single human crew was making his massive fleet appear clumsy. "Commander," Viral said, his voice trembling with disbelief, "they are not just fighting. They are teaching us, forcing us to adjust. We cannot predict their next move." Zelthar's pride burned hotter than ever. "Then we will overwhelm them. Fire everything." The Valarian fleet unleashed a barrage of energy beams, plasma cannons, and missile-like projectiles. The space around the Valor lit up like a storm of fire. The humans responded without panic. They coordinated evasive maneuvers with perfect timing, launching drones to intercept projectiles and using energy pulses to disable weapons temporarily. After hours of tense engagement, one thing became painfully clear. The Valarian fleet was losing control of the battle. Their ships were not destroyed, but their confidence and coordination were in chaos. Rylan observed the alien movements carefully. They are trying to compensate for their losses. Maintain distance. Do not be reckless. Let them make the mistakes. And that is exactly what happened. The Valarian fleet tried a massive flank maneuver, but the humans anticipated it. Energy pulses disabled the engines of several ships, forcing the fleet to break formation. Communication between alien vessels became fragmented. Zelthar's face darkened with fury. "Retreat is not an option." Viral, looking at the screens, shook his head. "Commander, it may be the only option. They are beyond our understanding. This ship is unlike anything we have seen." Despite his anger, Zelthar felt a small spark of fear. He had fought countless wars, conquered worlds, and defeated species who outnumbered him tenfold. Yet here he faced a single human warship that could outthink his fleet. Rylan spoke calmly to his crew. "We do not seek to destroy unnecessarily. If they retreat, let them. Our goal is defense and demonstration. Show them humanity's capabilities, not our ruthlessness." The humans continued to move with precision, carefully avoiding unnecessary conflict, while demonstrating their superior strategy. The Valarian ships, frustrated and battered, began to fall back. Zelthar's claws clenched. "We will not be defeated, not by one ship." Yet deep inside, he knew they were outmatched in ways beyond simple firepower. The human strength was not in weapons, but in mind and coordination. It was a kind of power the Valarian had never encountered. As the battle ended, the human warship remained unharmed. It hovered calmly in space, sensors scanning, shields ready, and crew prepared for anything. The alien fleet had retreated, not because they were destroyed, but because they were stunned, unable to comprehend the brilliance of the human tactics. Viral turned to Zelthar, voice low and respectful. "Commander, we may have underestimated them. They are not just a species. They are a force of intellect, strategy, and adaptability. We have learned a lesson today, whether we like it or not." Zelthar's pride burned, but he could not deny the truth. Humans were extraordinary, small, unassuming, yet capable of feats that challenged the mightiest armada in the galaxy. Commander Rylan looked at the retreating alien fleet. "They will return," he said quietly, "but they will not be the same as they were when they arrived. Humanity has shown them what we are capable of." The stars stretched endlessly around the Valor. For the humans, it was another day of vigilance and strategy. But for the Valarian, it was a moment that would be remembered. The first engagement with humanity had ended, but the impression it left would echo throughout the galaxy for generations. Humans were small in numbers, but their intelligence, adaptability, and courage had left the Valarian armada stunned. They had learned a vital lesson. No matter how strong or numerous a fleet might be, it could never underestimate a human mind. And in the silent, infinite expanse of space, the Valor sailed on, carrying not just a ship, but a symbol. Humanity was not just another species. They were a force to be reckoned with. The Valarian armada drifted in the aftermath of their failed engagement. The fleet was intact, but the pride of the alien species was shattered. Commander Xelthar sat in silence on the bridge of his flagship, the Zarveth, staring at the stars as though searching for answers. He had faced countless wars, conquered entire worlds, and defeated fleets larger than the human vessel in front of him. Yet here he was, stunned, uncertain, and humbled. Lieutenant Viral finally spoke, his voice cautious. "Commander, we have been defeated not by strength, but by intelligence and strategy. The humans, they are unlike anything we have known." Xelthar's claws clenched on the armrests. He could feel the eyes of his officers on him, waiting for orders. He was the leader of the Valarian armada. But for the first time, he felt powerless. "Intelligence alone cannot win wars," he said, though even he sounded unsure. "We must adapt. We cannot allow this anomaly to outsmart us." Meanwhile, the human warship, the USS Valor, hovered in a nearby orbit, its systems scanning the Valarian fleet. Commander Rylan observed quietly, knowing that the aliens were grappling with something deeper than a loss in battle. They were learning that humans could not be judged by appearances, numbers, or size alone. "Report," Rylan said to Lieutenant Chen. "They are still scanning us," Chen replied. "Communications are active. They are trying to understand us." Rylan nodded. "Prepare a secure channel. Let's reach out. It is time to demonstrate who we are, not as conquerors, but as a species capable of reason." A secure connection opened between the two fleets. Rylan's calm voice filled the communication channels of the Valarian command ships. "Commander Xelthar, this is Commander Rylan of the USS Valor. We have no desire for unnecessary conflict. Humanity does not seek war, but we will defend ourselves and our allies. What you have witnessed today is not the full extent of our capabilities, but a demonstration of our strategy, adaptability, and coordination." The bridge of the Zarveth fell silent. Xelthar stared at the projection of the human ship. Its calm authority was undeniable. Viral whispered, They are speaking as equals, Commander. They are not afraid, yet they have not attacked further. It is remarkable." Xelthar's pride battled with the truth. Remarkable. Yes. Dangerous. Perhaps. But we are Valarian. We do not bow to anyone. "Commander," Viral said, "this is not about bowing. It is about respect. We have never seen a species use intelligence, strategy, and teamwork to this extent. They have shown us a way to fight without waste, without chaos." Xelthar remained silent. He had led countless victories. Yet this encounter was teaching him a lesson he could not ignore. Humans were small in number, but their mind and coordination made them a force unlike any other. Rylan continued over the secure channel. "Commander Xelthar, the choice before you is simple. You may retreat and live to rebuild, or continue conflict and risk unnecessary loss. Humanity respects strength, but we respect intelligence and reason even more. We suggest caution in your next steps." The Valarian fleet was quiet. No one spoke. For the first time in centuries, the aliens felt the weight of uncertainty. They had encountered a species that did not fear them, a species capable of predicting their moves and exploiting their weaknesses without cruelty or aggression. Xelthar finally spoke, his voice lower, more measured. "We will withdraw. For now. But do not think this ends here, human. The Valarian armada will return. We will learn from this, and we will be stronger." Rylan nodded, though the aliens could not see him. "We will be ready." And when that time comes, perhaps our next encounter will be guided by mutual respect rather than conflict. The Valor moved slowly, maintaining a safe distance as the Valarian ships adjusted their positions and prepared to depart. The humans had demonstrated their strength without unnecessary violence, teaching the aliens a lesson about strategy, ethics, and intelligence. As the Valarian armada withdrew, Zelthar called a meeting of his top officers. "We have been defeated," he began, the words bitter on his tongue, not by force, not by numbers, but by a single human warship. "We must understand why. We must learn from this. The humans are a species unlike any we have encountered, and we cannot underestimate them again." Viral spoke up. "Commander, it is not just their ship or weapons. It is their coordination, their ability to predict, to adapt. We cannot replicate this with technology alone. They think differently. They fight differently. They are extraordinary." Zelthar's gaze hardened, but there was a spark of respect in his eyes. "Extraordinary, yes, but dangerous. We will prepare. We will study them. Humanity has shown us a glimpse of what we cannot yet understand." Back aboard the Valor, Rylan addressed his crew. "This encounter has ended without bloodshed, but the lesson is clear. Humanity is capable of extraordinary things when we work together. Stay calm and use our minds. Let the galaxy see us not as threats to be feared, but as a species to be respected. That is our strength." Lieutenant Chen smiled. "We did what we had to do, Commander. And we did it without unnecessary loss." "Exactly," Rylan said. "Remember, it is not always the size of the ship or the number of guns that wins. Sometimes it is the courage, intelligence, and cooperation of those inside. That is what makes humanity strong." As the Valor left the system, sensors picked up other alien vessels observing from a distance. Word of humanity's engagement with the Valarian armada would spread quickly. In every corner of known space, other species would soon learn that humans were not to be underestimated. Small in number, yes, but capable of feats that even the most powerful fleets could not ignore. Days later, the Valarian command ships regrouped in a nearby system. Zelthar convened a council of top officers. "The humans have changed the way we see the galaxy," he said. "Their ship was small, but it taught us a lesson we cannot ignore. We must adapt, or we risk humiliation again." Viral nodded. "We have studied their patterns, their strategy, their behavior. They do not rely solely on strength or technology. They rely on intelligence, observation, and teamwork. We must learn from this if we hope to survive future encounters." Zelthar's eyes narrowed. "Yes, and we will. But we will also respect them. Humans are not like the species we have conquered before. They are clever, brave, and coordinated. If we underestimate them, we will pay a heavy price." Meanwhile, the humans continued their journey through space, quietly observing, learning, and exploring. They had left an impression on the Valarian armada, one that would be remembered for generations. Humanity's first contact had not involved victory through violence, but through intelligence, strategy, and unwavering calm. In the silence of deep space, Rylan reflected on the encounter. "We did not just defend ourselves," he said quietly to his crew. "We showed the galaxy that humans are capable of more than brute force. We showed them that even a small group, when united and clever, can influence the course of the universe." The crew nodded, proud but humble. They understood that their journey was only beginning. Humanity's place in the galaxy was still uncertain. But one thing was clear. The first impression they had made on the Valarian armada would echo across the stars. As the stars stretched endlessly before them, the humans sailed onward, ready for new challenges, new discoveries, and new opportunities. They had faced a fleet far larger and stronger than themselves, and had emerged unscathed, not through violence alone, but through intelligence, courage, and unity. The Valarians, meanwhile, would carry this lesson forward. They had underestimated humans once, and they would not do so again. Across the galaxy, whispers began to spread. Humanity was a force to be respected. A species small in number, but vast in potential. Commander Zelthar looked at the stars, his mind still racing. "They are humans," he murmured. "Small, but extraordinary. We have seen the future, and it is not ours to control." And with that thought, the Valarian armada set a new course, not for conquest, but for understanding. For the first time, an alien species would study humans not to dominate them, but to learn from them. In the endless darkness of space, a small human warship sailed on, a symbol of ingenuity, bravery, and the promise that intelligence and unity could overcome even the greatest of challenges. The first encounter had ended, but the story of humanity had only just begun.